Whatever you believe right now about politics, about how people should treat each other, about what's normal, you almost certainly overestimate how many other people share that belief. Not slightly overestimate, significantly. And the stronger you feel about something, the more likely you are to assume others feel the same way. This is one of the most replicated findings in social psychology, and almost nobody accounts for it in how they see the world. In 1977, researchers ran a simple experiment. They asked people if they'd be willing to walk around a college campus wearing a sign that said, "Eat at Joe's." Some agreed, some refused. Then they asked both groups to estimate how many other students would agree to do the same thing. The people who agreed estimated that about 62% of other students would also agree. The people who refused estimated only about 33% would agree. Same campus, same pool of people, completely opposite estimates. Each group convinced their own choice was the majority response. Both were projecting their own decision onto the population around them. The mechanism behind this is fairly straightforward. Your social world is not a random sample of humanity. It's a curated group of people who share your background, experiences, and values to a significant degree. When you try to estimate what most people think, your brain uses the people you actually know as its reference point, because they're the ones most readily available to think about. If most people you know share a particular view, your brain reasonably, but incorrectly, concludes that most people in general share it. The sample you're working from is real, but it's not representative. And the more homogeneous your social circle, the more dramatically your estimates will diverge from the actual population. This effect isn't limited to political opinions or values. It applies to behaviors, habits, and even embarrassing things people do privately. People who pick their nose assume more people do it than those who don't. People who cheat on tests assume cheating is more common than people who don't cheat. People who feel anxious in social situations assume most others feel the same way. The consistent pattern is, whatever you do or believe, you systematically overestimate its prevalence among others. Your own experience functions as a kind of default assumption about human experience in general, quietly, automatically, without you ever deciding to use it that way. The practical cost of the false consensus effect is that it makes genuine disagreement harder to understand. If you assume most people share your values, then someone who disagrees isn't just wrong, they're inexplicably, almost offensively wrong, because how could a normal person think that way? It turns difference of opinion into something that feels like a character flaw, rather than a different but genuine starting point. It also makes it harder to persuade people of anything because you enter conversations assuming the other person's position is a minority outlier rather than something many people thoughtfully hold. And it makes it harder to update your own views because if everyone agrees with you, there's less pressure to consider that you might be mistaken. So the next time you find yourself thinking, "How can anyone believe that?" the honest answer is probably more easily than you think and more commonly than you're assuming. The world contains a lot more genuine disagreement than your immediate social environment makes visible, and your brain has been quietly editing that out since the day you started forming opinions. If you want to learn more about this topic, feel free to subscribe.